Myra lay in the quiet chamber, her heart racing as the newborn child rested in her arms. The child was small, fragile, yet carried a strange beauty that no one could ignore. His eyes shimmered with a faint glow from his alien heritage, but the shape of his tiny hands was undeniably human. Myra smiled weakly, whispering soft words of comfort to the baby. For a moment, she forgot the coldness of the alien palace, the sharp stares from the servants, and the weight of being a human in a world that never truly accepted her. She thought her husband, Lord Veyron, would feel pride, maybe even joy. She imagined him standing beside her, holding their child with the same wonder she felt. But when the chamber doors opened, and his tall figure stepped inside, Myra saw no warmth in his eyes. His expression was carved from stone, sharp and distant. He stood at the edge of the bed, looking at the baby as though the child were a mistake. Myra's smile faded. "This is our child," she said softly, her voice trembling with hope. "He carries both our blood. Isn't he beautiful?" Veyron's eyes narrowed. "He is not what I expected." The words pierced through her heart like ice. She clutched the baby closer to her chest. "What do you mean?" "He is healthy. He is strong." Veyron's voice was calm, too calm, like a man delivering judgment rather than speaking to his wife. "I thought this union would bring greatness. Instead, it brings weakness. This child is neither fully human nor fully of my kind. He will be questioned. He will be judged. And so will I." Myra's breath caught. She stared at him, trying to understand. "He is our child," she repeated, her voice breaking. "How can you call him weak before he even takes his first steps?" Veyron turned his gaze away. "I want a separation. A divorce. From this day, our bond is ended." The words struck her harder than any blow could. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred, and for a moment she could not breathe. She had left everything behind on earth: her family, her friends, her familiar skies, because she believed in love. She had believed in him. And now, in her most vulnerable moment, he was casting her aside. Myra's voice shook as she tried to stand against the storm inside her. "You cannot just walk away. We are a family." "You are a mistake," Veyron said, his tone flat. "The council warned me, but I ignored them. Now, I will not waste more time. The bond is broken." Myra pressed her lips together, fighting back tears. She would not let him see her shatter. She looked down at the baby in her arms. The child stirred, making a soft sound, as if sensing his mother's pain. Myra kissed his forehead gently. "If you wish to leave," she whispered, her voice gaining strength, "then leave. But know this: he is not weak. And neither am I." Veyron did not answer. Without a word, he turned and walked out of the chamber. The heavy doors closed behind him, leaving Myra in silence. For a long time, Myra sat frozen, the weight of betrayal crushing her. She had imagined a life where their love could unite two worlds. Instead, she was left abandoned, a stranger in an alien palace, holding the only thing she had left: her child. But as the hours passed, her despair began to change. She looked at the child's small face, the way his tiny fingers curled around her own. He was innocent, untouched by the cruelty of others. In his presence, she felt a spark of strength. "No one will take you from me," she whispered firmly. "No one will decide your worth. I will protect you. I will raise you. And one day, they will see who you truly are." The baby opened his eyes, and for a brief second, Myra saw something incredible in their depths: a light that carried the promise of something greater than either human or alien. Myra's tears dried. Her hands no longer shook. She was no longer just a broken wife, she was a mother, and she would fight for her child with every breath she had. Outside the chamber, whispers already spread through the palace. Servants spoke of the human woman abandoned by her noble husband. Some mocked her. Others pitied her. But none of them truly knew the strength that was beginning to rise inside her heart. Myra rocked her child gently, her gaze firm and unyielding. The pain of betrayal would not define her. Her story was not over, it had only begun. The days after the birth were not filled with joy, but with whispers and shadows. Myra walked the palace halls with her child in her arms, feeling every stare that followed her. The alien servants no longer bowed in respect. Instead, they looked at her with pity, or worse, with mockery. Some whispered behind their hands, their voices sharp and cruel. "There goes the human experiment. She thought she could rise to nobility. Now she is nothing." Myra held her child closer, keeping her head high, though her heart ached. She had been welcomed once as the human wife of Lord Veyron, praised as a symbol of unity between two worlds. Now, with him gone, she was nothing but a burden in their eyes. Her husband had left her, and with him, all the respect she once carried vanished like dust in the wind. At night, the chamber that once felt grand now felt like a prison. The silence pressed against her, reminding her that she was alone. She sang softly to her child, little lullabies from Earth, words the aliens did not understand. Her voice cracked sometimes, but she refused to let despair take her. The baby's small eyes looked at her with trust, and in that trust, she found strength. One morning, she was summoned to the council chamber. Myra entered cautiously, her child wrapped safely against her chest. The high nobles sat in a circle, their faces stern and unkind. At the center stood Veyron, tall and composed, as if her suffering meant nothing. The head of the council spoke first. "Myra of Earth, your bond with Lord Veyron is dissolved. You no longer carry the rights of this house." The words echoed through the chamber. Myra's heart pounded, but she stood firm. "And what of my child?" she asked. Her voice was calm, but inside, fire burned. The council members exchanged glances. One of them, with silver markings across his forehead, sneered. "The child is an error. He will never fit in either world. You should return to your kind, and leave him behind." Myra tightened her arms protectively around her baby. "I will never leave him," she said firmly. "He is my son, and he is not an error." Veyron's eyes narrowed. "You are clinging to pride. Without me, you are nothing here. You will find no protection, no wealth, no place." Myra met his gaze, her voice steady. "I may have nothing, but I still have him. That is enough." The chamber filled with murmurs. Some nobles shook their heads, dismissing her as foolish. Others looked unsettled, as if her courage had disturbed something inside them. The council gave no further response. With a wave of the hand, they dismissed her, as if she were a servant instead of a woman who once shared their halls. When Myra returned to her chamber, she knew her life had truly changed. Her belongings were gone, taken by the servants at Veyron's command. The fine silks and treasures were replaced with nothing but a small bag left on the floor, a sign that she was no longer welcome. She sat on the edge of the empty room, her child in her lap, and breathed deeply. The weight of despair pressed on her shoulders, but she would not let it crush her. "We will not beg," she whispered. "We will not break. If they will not give us a place, we will make one." In the days that followed, Myra began to see the world outside the palace walls. She ventured into the lower districts, where common aliens struggled to survive. There were no polished halls here, no golden lights, only crowded streets filled with weary faces. Unlike the nobles, these people did not mock her. They looked at her with curiosity, and some even with respect, when they saw how she carried herself. When a sick child coughed in the corner of a market stall, Myra stepped forward without thinking. Using her human knowledge of herbs and medicine, she made a simple remedy. The alien mother was astonished when the child's fever eased by the next day. Word spread quickly, the human woman who had been cast aside by the nobles was helping the common folk. Myra never asked for payment. She only asked for kindness in return. Soon, she became a small but important figure in the district. People greeted her with cautious smiles, and some offered her food or shelter. Her child, Aaron, was no longer just the child of a broken marriage. To the people, he became a symbol of hope, proof that even the weak could endure. Yet, in the shadows, danger grew. Myra's defiance angered Veyron, who saw her growing respect as a threat. To him, she was supposed to fade into nothing, a forgotten mistake. Instead, she was rising in ways he did not expect. One evening, as Myra rocked Aaron to sleep, she looked out at the stars through a broken window in her small room. She thought of Earth, of the simple sky she once knew, and whispered, "I will make a new place for us, here among the stars. They will see that we are not weak." The galaxy had already begun to watch. A human mother, abandoned and stripped of everything, was slowly becoming something greater than anyone had imagined. Myra woke early each morning, long before the city stirred. The air in the lower districts was heavy with dust, the streets narrow and crowded. Her small room was bare, but she no longer cared about luxury. All that mattered was her child, Aaron, and the quiet strength she was beginning to build inside herself. She wrapped Aaron in a warm cloth and tied him against her chest before stepping outside. The market streets were alive with struggling voices, merchants selling scraps, children begging, and workers rushing to labor. Among them, Myra walked with steady steps. Though she was human, though she was cast aside, she no longer bowed her head. Everywhere she went, she found problems. And everywhere she went, she offered solutions. When a farmer complained that his irrigation pipe was broken, Myra studied the system carefully. Using nothing but tools borrowed from a mechanic, she patched it together with simple human methods. The farmer stared at her in disbelief when water began to flow again. "You are not like the nobles," he said with respect. "They never care about us. But you fix things." Myra only smiled softly. "Sometimes you don't need wealth or power. You just need to try." Soon, people began to seek her out. A merchant asked her to help calculate trade numbers, for she was skilled with human arithmetic. A mechanic asked her advice when a small machine stopped working. Myra had grown up on Earth surrounded by tools, books, and simple technology, and now that knowledge became her strength. She was not a noble's wife anymore. She was a problem solver, and the people admired her for it. But life was not easy. Food was scarce, and many nights she went hungry so Aaron could eat. She often lay awake in the dark, listening to her son's soft breathing, promising herself that one day he would have more than this. The loneliness was sharp, but the respect of the people gave her hope. One afternoon, a group of workers invited her to see a damaged generator that powered their district. Without it, many homes would be left in cold darkness. Myra studied the machine carefully. Sparks flew from broken wires, and the aliens had no idea how to repair it. "I think I can fix it," she said. They looked at her doubtfully. "You? Alone?" Myra smiled faintly. "On Earth, we always learned to use what we had, even when it was not enough." Hours passed as she worked. Her hands were cut and dirty, her clothes stained with grease, but she did not stop. She tied wires with scraps of metal, rebuilt circuits using broken pieces, and adjusted the machine with patience. At last, with a loud hum, the generator flickered back to life. Lights returned to the streets, and the people cheered. "She has the resolve of steel," one worker whispered. "No alien would do what she has done." The story spread beyond the district. Across the city, whispers began again, not of weakness, but of strength. The human mother was becoming a figure of respect, a woman who could do more with scraps than nobles could do with wealth. But admiration also drew enemies. Veyron heard of her deeds, and anger boiled in him. To him, Myra was supposed to be forgotten, broken, erased. Instead, she was building a new name for herself. Her defiance was an insult to his pride. She is nothing without me, he growled to his advisors. And yet she rises. I will not allow it. Back in the lower districts, Myra was unaware of the danger growing. She only knew that she must keep moving forward. One evening, after a long day, she sat in her room rocking Aaron gently. The child opened his eyes, bright with a strange shimmer. His small hands grasped at the air, as if reaching for the stars outside the window. You are stronger than they know, Myra whispered. One day, they will see it. And I will make sure of it. Aaron cooed softly, his glowing eyes locking onto hers. For a moment, Myra felt as though he understood her words. The thought filled her with determination. She was no longer the frightened woman abandoned in the palace. She was a mother who had survived, who had rebuilt, and who had earned the respect of those the nobles ignored. That night, as she looked at the sky, Myra made a promise. I will not live in shadows. I will rise. For you, for me, and for every soul who has been cast aside. The wind carried her words into the silent night, and though no one else heard them, the galaxy itself seemed to tremble with the quiet strength of a human mother's resolve. Aaron was growing fast. Even at a few months old, his presence was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. His eyes, a mixture of human warmth and alien glow, reflected intelligence beyond his age. Myra noticed small, strange talents in her child. He seemed to sense emotions before anyone spoke, and he could mimic sounds perfectly, almost as if he understood the meaning behind them. Myra watched him every day, amazed by the blend of two worlds within her child. She had expected challenges, but she did not expect fear, hers or theirs. The nobles whispered that the child could bring trouble, that he might be dangerous. Myra only laughed softly when she heard it. Dangerous, she said. No. He is my son. He is hope. One afternoon, Myra took Aaron to the market. People stared, some in awe, others in unease. Children pointed at him, fascinated by the unusual glow in his eyes. Myra held him tightly, keeping her head high. She had learned to face the stares long ago. A merchant approached her cautiously. Your child, he is different. Not fully like us. Myra smiled gently. No. He is a mix of two worlds. And that is his strength. The merchant hesitated, then nodded. I see it now. He will grow into something great, I think. As Aaron grew, Myra began to notice how much he learned just by watching. He copied the movements of the workers, the gestures of the merchants, even the rhythm of the city's daily life. But unlike ordinary children, he adapted faster than anyone expected. A broken toy, a fallen basket, even a minor accident, he would react with unusual cleverness. Myra realized her child was not just human, and not just alien. He was something entirely new. One evening, while Myra worked repairing a small water pump in the district, Aaron crawled near her feet. A spark from the machinery startled him, but instead of crying, he reached out and touched it, then quickly pulled back, seemingly aware of the danger. Myra gasped. No ordinary child would do that. You are learning too fast, she whispered, a mix of worry and pride in her voice. Word began to spread quietly among the district residents. The human woman's child, he is extraordinary, one whispered. Maybe he will change everything. Some watched from afar, curious and cautious. Others worried that such a child might bring trouble, but Myra ignored their murmurs. She only saw Aaron as the child she loved, the child she would protect no matter what. As the city grew more aware of her abilities and her child's unique traits, Myra realized she must be careful. Veyron would not remain idle. He would see Aaron as a threat, a challenge to his authority. Myra vowed that no one, not even the most powerful alien, would harm her son. She began teaching him small lessons, using games and stories to help him learn right from wrong, to encourage kindness, courage, and clever thinking. Aaron responded with an uncanny awareness. He would point to tools Myra needed before she asked, remember small details from stories she read, and mimic her actions in ways that made her smile. She sometimes wondered if he understood more than she thought. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the city, Myra sat with Aaron on a small balcony. She held him in her arms and spoke softly. One day, people may not understand you. They may fear you. But you must always remember who you are. You are both worlds, and that is your gift. Use it wisely, and never let anyone make you feel small. Aaron gazed at her, his small hand reaching for her face. Myra felt a warmth that went beyond love. She felt hope. Her child was not only her strength, but also the symbol of something greater. In him, she saw the possibility of a future where humans and aliens could coexist, a future that would not be dictated by fear or prejudice. Yet, danger was near. Rumors of the child's unusual abilities reached Veyron, and his anger grew. Myra knew it was only a matter of time before he tried to act. She would not run. She would not hide. She would prepare, using every skill she had learned and every connection she had made among the people who trusted her. Myra held Aaron tightly that night and whispered to the stars, "We will face whatever comes, my son. Together, we are stronger than anyone can imagine. You are the child of two worlds, and one day, you will show them all what that means." As she watched him sleep, a gentle light from his glowing eyes reflected on the balcony walls. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it was a promise. A promise that the human mother and her extraordinary child were not ordinary. They were the beginning of something remarkable, something the galaxy had never seen before. Life in the lower districts had become busy, but Myra never stopped learning. She rose early each day, her child Aaron always beside her, and worked tirelessly to help the people who had welcomed her. Word of her skills and courage spread, and more aliens began seeking her advice. Yet, beneath the quiet progress, a shadow was growing, a threat she could feel even before it appeared. News came from the outer systems. A warlord named Korod was moving through nearby territories. He was known for crushing towns, taking control by fear, and demanding loyalty with threats of violence. The nobles of the city whispered about him in fear, but Myra saw the danger clearly. This was not a conflict that wealth or influence alone could solve. It required courage, strategy, and the unity of those who were often overlooked. Myra knew the people of the lower districts were strong, even if they were poor. She had seen their resilience every day, how they survived on limited resources, how they solved problems through ingenuity rather than power. She realized that together, they could resist. And she made a decision: she would help them prepare. That evening, Myra called a meeting in the abandoned warehouse at the edge of the district. Workers, merchants, and exiles gathered, curious about what the human woman had to say. Myra stood in front of them, her small frame commanding attention. Aaron sat nearby, glowing faintly in the dim light, a symbol of hope. "We face a challenge," Myra began. "A warlord approaches who wants to take our homes and our freedom. The nobles will hide in their towers, but we cannot. We must protect ourselves and each other. And we can do it." The room was silent at first, then murmurs grew into voices of agreement. Myra continued, explaining how they could organize, how to use simple tools to strengthen defenses, and how teamwork could overcome even the most powerful enemies. She spoke in a way that was easy to understand, breaking down complex ideas into simple steps. A farmer raised his hand nervously. "But we are not soldiers. How can we fight against trained warriors?" Myra smiled. "You are stronger than you think. You know this land better than they do. You know the alleys, the buildings, and the people. That knowledge is more valuable than swords. We will use it wisely. Over the next few days, Myra worked tirelessly with the district residents. She helped them set up warning systems, fortify walls, and prepare safe areas for children and the elderly. She trained them in basic defense, using strategies from her Earth knowledge and adapting them to alien technology. Even Aaron seemed to sense the urgency, watching and learning as Myra taught others with patience and care. As preparations continued, rumors reached Veyron. He was furious that Myra, abandoned and humiliated by him, was building influence among the people he had thought unworthy. She grows stronger while I do nothing, he fumed. This is unacceptable. Meanwhile, the city buzzed with anticipation. Merchants and workers whispered about the human mother who had taught ordinary citizens how to defend themselves. Some nobles were wary, fearing her growing influence could upset the balance of power. But for the common people, Myra was a symbol of hope, someone who showed that courage and cleverness mattered more than titles or heritage. One night, as Myra walked through the streets checking on the preparations, she noticed a group of children playing near a makeshift barricade. Aaron toddled beside her, curious and eager to help. Myra knelt to his level. "One day, you will see how strong we are together," she said softly. Aaron looked up at her with glowing eyes, as if he understood. Suddenly, a messenger arrived, panting and covered in dust. "The warlord's scouts have reached the outskirts," he shouted. Panic spread among some of the residents, but Myra raised her hands. "Stay calm," she commanded. "We have prepared. We know what to do. Fear will not save us, but courage will." She walked among the people, checking their supplies, giving last-minute instructions, and encouraging them to stay strong. Her confidence and calmness were contagious. Even the most frightened villagers found themselves standing taller, ready to face what was coming. Later, Myra stood on a small hill overlooking the district. The city lights twinkled below, and beyond them, she could see the dark horizon where Corrida's army would appear. She held Aaron in her arms, feeling his small heartbeat against hers, and whispered, "No matter what happens, we will protect our home. And one day, they will know that even the smallest and the weakest can rise to meet any challenge." In the quiet wind, Myra's words seemed to echo through the streets. The ordinary citizens, the human mother, and her extraordinary child were ready. The rising threat of the warlord would soon meet the stubborn courage of those who refused to bow. Myra stood on the rocky edge of the cliff overlooking the dark valley below. The sky was filled with the strange greenish clouds of Zoroth, the planet she once called home. Her heart was steady, but her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts. In just a few moments, she would face Torin, the husband who had left her after their child was born. But today, things were different. Today, she was not the scared woman he once knew. Today, she was a mother, a scientist, and a warrior. Torin arrived quietly, stepping out of the shadows. His tall frame looked smaller here, away from the palace where he was once respected. His eyes were full of pain and regret. "Myra," he said softly, "I never wanted this to happen. I was wrong to leave you. I was weak." Myra looked at him without fear. "Weak? You gave up on us when we needed you the most. You left me alone to fight for our child and my work." Her voice was calm but strong. "You were scared of what we could become together." Torin's shoulders sank. "My people pressured me. They did not accept a human as my equal. They wanted me to follow their old rules, to forget you and our child. I was afraid of losing my place." Myra shook her head. "Fear does not give you a free pass to run away. I didn't lose my place. I made a new one. And now, I'm here to finish what I started." At that moment, a signal beeped from Myra's wrist device. She glanced at it, eyes sharp. "They're coming," she said. "The mercenaries who took our child." Torin stepped forward. "Then we have no time to waste." Tell me where they are. We'll save our child together. Myra felt a flicker of hope. She nodded and pulled up a holographic map showing the valley below. They're hiding in that canyon. It's guarded, but there's a narrow path only I know. Torin's face hardened with determination. Lead the way. The two moved carefully down the rocky cliff, each step echoing in the quiet night. Myra's heart beat faster not from fear, but from the strange mix of old pain and new trust. They reached the canyon entrance, shadows hiding the dangers inside. Inside, the air was thick and heavy. The mercenaries had set traps, but Myra knew how to avoid them. Torin followed closely, watching her every move. For the first time in many months, they worked side by side, their old bond slowly growing back. Suddenly, a group of mercenaries appeared, blocking their path. Torin stepped forward, raising his hands. We don't want trouble. Let us pass. The leader, a tall alien with sharp eyes, laughed. You humans think you can come here and take what's ours? We were paid well to stop you. Myra's voice was cold but clear. Our child is not your prize. Let us go, and no one gets hurt. The mercenary's hand went to his weapon, but before he could act, Torin moved with speed and skill that surprised even Myra. In seconds, Torin disarmed the leader and held him steady. Enough, Torin said, breathing hard. We're not your enemies. The mercenaries hesitated. Myra saw the chance. She stepped forward and spoke with calm authority. We only want to bring our child home. Let us through, or face the consequences. Realizing they were outmatched, the mercenaries stepped aside, grumbling but allowing passage. Myra and Torin hurried deeper into the canyon, following the faint cries of a child. In a small cave lit by strange blue crystals, they found their child safe but frightened. Myra rushed forward, lifting the little one into her arms. Tears came to her eyes. You're safe now, she whispered. Torin knelt beside them, his eyes full of sorrow and hope. I'm sorry, little one. I should have been here. Myra looked at him steadily. Sorry is a start. But actions matter more. Suddenly, the cave entrance shook. More mercenaries had arrived, blocking their escape. Myra's mind raced. She took a deep breath, then activated a small device on her wrist. A bright pulse of energy shot out, disabling the enemy's weapons and communication. The mercenaries fell back, confused and powerless. Torin smiled for the first time in weeks. Your technology is incredible, Myra. She smiled back. It's not just mine. It's ours, what we can build together. With the mercenaries disarmed, Myra, Torin, and their child escaped the cave and returned to the safety of the cliff. The stars above shone brightly, as if welcoming a new beginning. Torin looked at Myra and said, I see now that I was wrong to doubt you. You are stronger than I ever imagined. Myra nodded. I don't need your approval anymore. But if you want to be part of this family, you have to stand with me, not behind me. Torin reached out his hand. Then stand together, as one. Myra took his hand and smiled. Together, they looked out over the galaxy, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Their journey was far from over, but now, they would face it united. The launch day had finally arrived. Myra stood in the control room of her research station on the outskirts of Zoratha's largest city. Around her, humans and aliens worked together, their faces glowing with hope and excitement. Today was more than just a test, it was the start of a new era for the galaxy. Myra looked at her child playing quietly nearby, Torin watching with pride from across the room. The past months had been hard, but they had grown stronger. Torin had earned back his place, not through power or tradition, but by standing with Myra and their family. Are you ready? A voice asked. Myra turned to see Ral, her closest alien ally and chief engineer. He nodded toward the console. The new energy drive is ready. We just need your final approval. She smiled. Let's show the galaxy what we can do. The energy drive was the result of years of hard work and determination. It could power ships to travel faster than ever before, making distant worlds reachable in hours instead of years. This technology would unite star systems and open new opportunities for trade, exploration, and peace. Myra took a deep breath and pressed the launch button. The room filled with a low hum, growing louder and stronger. Outside, the test ship shone brightly as the new engine came to life. Suddenly, the ship lifted off, moving smoothly and faster than anyone had expected. Cheers erupted in the control room. Myra's heart swelled with pride. But the celebration was cut short when an alarm sounded. A warning flashed across the screen: a group of hostile ships was approaching the city. Myra's smile faded. They must be those who tried to stop us before. We can't let them destroy everything. Torin stepped beside her, his expression serious. We won't. Together, we can protect this future. Quickly, Myra and her team activated the station's defenses. Shields rose like a glowing wall around the city, while automated drones prepared to defend the skies. Outside, the hostile ships advanced, firing bright beams of energy. The city's defenses held strong, but it was clear this was only the beginning of the battle. Myra looked at Torin. We need to do more than defend. We need to show them that this technology belongs to everyone. Torin nodded. Then let's lead the fight. They boarded a small but fast ship equipped with the new energy drive. With Myra at the controls and Torin as her co-pilot, they flew straight toward the enemy fleet. The hostile ships were surprised by the speed and agility of their attackers. Myra used every skill she had learned during her research and her time with the mercenaries to outmaneuver them. She sent pulses of energy to disable enemy weapons and shields, while Torin communicated with the city's defense systems to coordinate the fight. Slowly but surely, the hostile ships began to retreat. Back at the station, the people cheered again, this time louder and more powerful. The city was safe. The future was still in their hands. When the battle ended, Myra and Torin returned to the control room. Myra's child ran to her arms, smiling. This is only the beginning, Myra said softly. But now, the galaxy knows what we can do when we stand together. Torin looked at Myra with respect. You've changed everything. Not just with your technology, but with your heart. Myra smiled. And I will keep fighting not just for us, but for everyone who believes in a better future. News of the successful launch and brave defense spread quickly across the stars. Many alien worlds reached out to Myra and her team, offering friendship and support. Human colonies in distant systems celebrated their champion, proud to see one of their own rise so high. Myra knew there would be challenges ahead. Old enemies might return, and new problems would arise. But she was ready. With her family and allies by her side, she felt stronger than ever. The galaxy was changing. A new dawn had come, and Myra was leading the way.